ever pondered the question, what wars in history have slipped through the cracks of our collective memory? Well, today we're setting sail on an adventure across the vast seas of history, embarking on a voyage of discovery into lesser-known wars. These are the battles and conflicts that, despite their significant impact on the world, have somehow managed to evade the spotlight of popular media and the pages of most school textbooks. Why should we care about these obscure wars, you may ask? Well, each of these forgotten conflicts has a tale to tell. They offer unique insights into the human spirit, the complexities of politics, and the ripple effects of seemingly insignificant events. Our journey will focus on those wars that don't often grace the silver screen or feature in best-selling novels. So, strap in as we delve into these underappreciated chapters of history. By delving into these underappreciated chapters of history, we may just uncover some intriguing stories. Let's turn back the clock to the 14th century, to a conflict sparked by a seemingly trivial object, a wooden bucket. Yes, you heard it right, a bucket. This is the War of the Oaken Bucket we're talking about, a scuffle between the rival city-states of Modena and Bologna in Italy. Now, you might be thinking, how could a simple bucket ignite a war? Well, apparently this bucket was of some value to the Bolognese, and when it was stolen by the Modenese, things got a little heated. But let's not be fooled by the seemingly laughable trigger. This war was no joke. It resulted in serious consequences, with thousands of soldiers losing their lives in the battle. It's a startling reminder of how even the smallest sparks can ignite a wildfire if the kindling is dry enough. So the next time you use a bucket, remember that it once led to a war. Moving on to a conflict sweet in name but bitter in reality, the Pastry War. Picture this, the 19th century. Mexico and France, two nations known for their vibrant cultures, find themselves embroiled in a conflict that's, well, a little half-baked. At the heart of this dispute, a French pastry cook in Mexico City, whose shop was ravaged during a riot. The French government, adamant that their citizen be compensated, demanded a lofty sum of 600,000 pesos from Mexico. That's a lot of dough, both literally and figuratively. When the Mexican government refused to pay, France retaliated with a naval blockade and an eventual invasion. So there you have it, a full-blown international incident sparked by a demolished pastry shop. Some might say it's a case of a baker's woe escalating into a baker's war. And while the Pastry War may sound like a delicious historical event, it certainly left a sour taste in the mouths of those involved. Remember, it's not always about the pastries. From buckets to pastries, we've journeyed through some peculiar wars. But how about a war over soccer, or as the British call it, football? As trivial as the trigger might seem, it reflected a deep-seated rivalry and had serious consequences. The Football War was a short conflict between the countries of El Salvador and Honduras after El Salvador defeated Honduras in the 1970 World Cup Series, and as a result of the win, El Salvador broke off diplomatic ties to Honduras. But why? Well, it goes far deeper than a simple football match. The war also fought due to long-standing tension between the two countries over land mass migration to Honduras from El Salvador, as well as Honduras making land reform laws that were designed to discriminate against the El Salvadoran migrants. Needless to say, there was a lot of tension between the two countries, and when it came time for them to play against each other in the World Cup Series, the chaos really kicked off, as fans constantly rioted and violence ruled the streets in El Salvador, Honduras, and Mexico, where the last game was held. Many were injured, and there was at least one confirmed death. All of this came to a head when El Salvador marched troops into Honduras on July 14, 1970. It took intervention from the Organization of American States to finally quell the violence. It would be another 11 years before a peace treaty was finally signed by the two countries. These three conflicts, while obscure and often forgotten, remind us that conflict can arise from the most unexpected sources, and yet, still have far-reaching impacts. As we've seen, even the most obscure wars have stories to tell, lessons to impart, and a place in our shared history. So here's a question for you all. What obscure war do you wish was more discussed in history? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, Until next time, friends.